Good, people? What's good? What's good? What's good? This is about to be the most low tech live y'all ever seen in your life. So bear with your boy. Bear with your boy. Well, let me fix my speakers real quick. And fix this background. Salute to my guy. So Space Beast in the building. First official one. Let's do it. So I ain't got no topics lined up, to be honest with y'all. Just came on here, do a little venting, man. Talk about this game on Sunday. Obviously, the Raiders lost, as predicted by many, 30-29. Actually, one of our better efforts that we've had recently. So it's kind of, when you really think about it, for me, it's an ideal outcome, right? For me, it's an ideal outcome. I know people are against tanking, but hey, when the season is lost, there is genuinely no reason to win at this point. All right, genuinely no reason to win at this point. Salute to my guy, Space Beast in the building. Put it up. I'm not used to having to do this solo, so I gotta bear with your boy. Salute Space Beast. Salute to my guy LS. Yo, man, I gotta give LS a wrench, man. LS be holding it down from the future, so he is John Connor right now. So I gotta, he's going to start the resistance. So I gotta give LS a wrench, man. Salute to my dog Huey P in the building. But yeah, man, like I was saying before, man, it is an ideal outcome. You feel me? Raiders is started off pretty uneventful. Low scoring affair for basically the entire first half. The thing is, to put it in Emerald terms, they kicked it up a notch in the second half. And it turned into a pretty good game, man. Pretty good game down to the wire. Obviously, we got some extra football for free, which is always good in this economy, especially when you're paying as much as you pay to get into Allegiant to watch the Raiders lose continuously. Like, you want to get more bang for your buck, and basically a whole another quarter of football is what people got. Went down to the wire, came down to the very last play. Obviously, we couldn't come through. We had a batted ball, but this is one of Geno's better performances. I think Chip Kelly was in his bag. Obviously, things look a lot different offensively for a team when you have Brock Bowers out there. He is a one-man wrecking crew. He was essentially most of our offense. 3 tuds, and this is his first game back, so it's looking like it's only going to go up from here. I think Jacoby was kind of effective early, kind of stalled there in the middle of the game. Michael Mayer had a few nice grabs, but didn't do much late, and not a lot early either, more so in the middle of the game. Ashton Jeanty wasn't really effective in the run game, but he was effective in the pass game, did have the touchdown on one of the poorest tackling attempts I've ever seen in my life. I mean, like, this guy is like, he needs to be investigated. They gonna throw him in the trial with Chauncey Billups, because the tackling effort he made on Ashton Jeanty on that pass play was an arm tackle up high. It is one of the most disgusting efforts I've ever seen in my life. But yet and still, Jeanty made the play, and that's what you want to see from your number 1 overall pick. He got into the end zone at a time when we needed it. So good play by him. And man, I want to say one of the things I was really critical of Jeanty coming into the NFL when I was evaluating his tape from Boise State was him in pass pro. And he did his damn thing in pass pro for the most part. So I haven't got a chance to watch the game a second time, but from when I was watching just the broadcast, he was doing his thing. Offensive line actually held up pretty well for the most part. Wasn't a whole bunch of glaring blown assignments. There was one play I want to say where JPJ looked like he made the wrong. He did the wrong thing, and it allowed some pressure on Jeanty. Obviously, on Geno. Obviously, we couldn't really get the run game going. There were some opportunities there, especially early. I want to say the first play of the game, there was an opportunity for Jeanty to bounce outside, but he didn't do it. But for the most part, it wasn't a whole bunch of room in the run game. So we basically depended a lot on Brock Bowers. Basically, it was a whole bunch of Brock Bowers that entire game, and he came through for us. So, I can't get mad at that. Salute to my guy Jeffrey Wilt. I'm gonna go with Wilt. Salute Raider Nation. Keep the faith. Yes, I'm keeping the faith that we will get a top overall pick, Jeffrey. I will continue to keep that faith. My guy Marcus Banks, much respect to you as well, brother. I always see you in the chat, man. So appreciate you stopping through. I've never actually asked, does anybody know the average seat cost for leagues? The average seat cost 5,000. I don't know if average. It's one of the highest tickets in the NFL. But that's partly because there's so many people from out of state that come to watch the games. Also, because a lot of tickets are being sold on the secondary market, so people buy them in bulk and then they sell them. I know Mark was supposed to be doing something to combat that. I'm not 100% sure if he ever did, but it's one of the most expensive tickets in the league. Like the very first game I went to was the first year fans were allowed, and it was the game against the Dolphins where I want to say that was that a Landon? Was that Landon that had that pick six? Might have been in London that had that pick six, but somebody that there was the game that Derek Carr threw that nasty pick six, and we ended up actually coming back to win the game. As a matter of fact, we played Jacoby that game, Jacoby Brissett, because Tua couldn't play yet. I want to say it was Tua's rookie year, but if for those seats, those seats that were given to me as a gift, and those seats were like not even great seats. They're like $450 each, so it's like it would have been $900 for me to go watch that game, man. I'm telling you, bro, it is wild. Brock did go off, man. Brock did his thing. I mean, like he transformed the offense, man. I can't like the impact that he made. You know, it made everybody better. So he's a missing piece. You know, I said on Sunday, our offense looked pretty good week one. Ironic, you know, coincidentally, Brock was healthy for that game. Our offense looked pretty good on Sunday. Coincidentally, Brock was healthy for that game too. Maybe it's not a coincidence, right? Maybe he's just the best tight end in the league, and that's the title. I didn't. I was hesitant to give him over Kittle just because what Kittle does as a receiver and as a blocker. But Kittle, he's kind of taken a major step back as a receiver. And Brock has stepped up as a receiver, and he's been pretty good in the blocking game as well. So I think at this point, both of them been hurt. So I can't hold that against Kittle either. You can't really hold that against Brock. So at this point, I will say Brock is the best in the league. Oh, dang, Jeff, 25 to 50 before kickoff. Yeah, maybe it's because it was the Jags. Maybe because it was the Jags. That's wild. Like I've never seen it that low. I've never seen it that low before, which is crazy. So if we can get that, they must have been desperate. They must have been desperate to get that stadium filled, and it was actually filled with Raider fans. And the noise was actually looked like it was causing some disruption for the Jags. So this is one of the first times outside of games where we played the San Diego Chargers when we've actually had like a home field advantage in the Legion. So that was good to see. And you know them operating out of shotgun, it actually made it difficult for them to operate out of shotgun, made it difficult for them to change plays at the line of scrimmage. They actually had to call a timeout at one point. So those are little things that you're missing when you don't have a true home field advantage. But part of the reason the Raiders don't have a true home field advantage is Las Vegas is a transplant city, so there are I would say very few people, but not a lot of people in Vegas are like born and raised in Vegas. There's a lot of people that move from out of town into Vegas, so they come in and they bring their home team. And the fact that the Raiders have been trash essentially since they moved to Vegas, so it's hard to build up a fan base when you're not playing good football. You know, like you can't convince a little kid to root for the Raiders when the Raiders are getting their teeth kicked in on a weekly basis. So once we start winning, you know, it's still going to take time because just like I said, most of those people already have fans or teams they're a fan of. But, you know, as the process continues, I think we'll start to build a fan base there. And then, you know, hopefully that the home field advantage will flip. But let's see what we got here. I know tanking for a QB sounds good on paper, but if we don't fix this offensive line, we will be in the same boat. Gino was literally having to correct Meredith calls at the line. I mean, you do want to have a good offensive line. I don't think, like I said, I don't think the offensive line is far off. I think that the offensive line has been caroled. You know, it's been Brennan caroled. if you look at this offense, and I send it out on X, but you look at the quarterbacks coach is a Pete Carroll guy, right? Worked with Pete Carroll before. The assistant quarterbacks coach, Pete Carroll's son. The offensive line coach, a Pete Carroll guy, Pete Carroll's son. The assistant offensive line coach is a guy that worked with Pete Carroll in Seattle. The running backs coach, and he never worked with Pete Carroll that I know of, but he did coach at USC, so it does have USC ties there. So obviously, probably a Pete Carroll guy as well. Like essentially all throughout this offense, it's Pete Carroll guys. So if you eliminate the Pete Carroll guys and actually bring in guys that are crazy thought, people that are qualified, you might have a different result. So I right now it's kind of hard to pass judgment on this offense or on this offensive line. When we saw this offense kind of gel down the stretch last year, when we had Meredith at guard, we had JPJ at center, and we had Parham at right guard. Parham has gone on record saying he prefers to play right guard. Meredith had his best season or best stretch of season playing left guard, and then obviously JPJ is very clear from numerous accounts, that he prefers to play center. So like the fact that they would come in here and take something that had worked relatively well down the stretch last year, Amir Abdullah was having success. Sincere McCormick was having success. So why would you come in and immediately say, you know what, the thing that worked last year, we're going to scrap that and we're going to do something like it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make sense, but that's Pete Carroll's ego, right? That's Brendan Carroll in here meddling, a guy that doesn't have any experience with these players. So when you don't have any experience with these players and you come in thinking that you know better than everybody else, then these are the things that happen. So instead of taking something that was successful and building upon it, you tore it down, started brand new, and now you're having growing pains when there should have been no growing pains. It should have just been growth from a pretty solid position. So, I mean, that's in like you can't teach an old dog new tricks, and Pete Carroll's the oldest dog in the NFL. Go figure. Can't find any Dallas ticks under 500. Yeah, I mean Dallas, that stadium, I've never been there. I know some people that have been there, and they say that stadium is like a museum for football. So I gotta check it out one day. I hate the Cowboys though, so it's kind of hard for me to find a reason to go down there. But if they have like a college bowl game down there or something like that, I might check that out. It was good, Assassin's Creed. Holla at your boy. But yeah, man. I have a question. Why doesn't Chip call more sweeps or outside runs? I mean, I can only speculate here. It's two reasons that I can think of. First of all, Gentry's not fast enough to beat guys to the edge usually. So you'd have to have it blocked up extremely well. And that's something that we have not been able to do. And our wide receivers haven't been blocking the greatest this year. So we were doing a lot of inside zone and we're doing a lot of duo stuff earlier in the year. This last game looks like we did more outside zone. So we did try to get Ashton Gentry kind of to the perimeter a little bit, not like sweeps and tosses and stuff like that. But we did get a little bit more outside runs. And guess what? We still really didn't have a lot of success there either. Like his best run was a run up the middle where he was able to break some tackles and carry some guys for yards. So, I mean, he's not the fastest guy. So it's when you don't have a guy that's going to beat and that's going to be like explosive, pause through the hole, like it's kind of hard to run those outside runs because then you have to beat linebackers to the edge. And with the level of linebacker play nowadays and with the speed of these linebackers, it's difficult to do. And think about this. Like Devin Lloyd is a guy that like legit, like early in the year, like defensive player of the year type numbers, right? He was putting up crazy numbers and he wasn't even there. And then Walker got ejected. So they're missing two of their best players on defense, not to mention Trav not being there. I think both of their starting corners were hurt too. So, like we had a good offensive week, but they were missing a lot of guys on defense. And, we weren't able to have success in the run game with them missing some of these guys on defense too. So like that doesn't bode well for our running game going forward. which is exactly why, like, I know, Jeff, you talked about not drafting a quarterback early. Like, this is why you don't draft a running back early. Like, quarterbacks, even behind a suspect offensive line, you can still like build an offense around a quarterback in the quick passing game, like kind of like we did yesterday, right? It was, we didn't go downfield a lot. It was a quick passing game, and we were able to get some guys some catch and run opportunities, whether it be Brock, whether it be Genty, whether it be Trey. We're able to get guys, to hit them in stride and let them get some yak, and we had success there. Like, you can do that with the quarterback, but unless you have a running back that is like special, elite, out of this world, like Saquon, like Adrian Peterson, like unless you have one of those guys, it's hard to have them have production behind suspect offensive line. And that's something that like was said ad nauseum pre-draft by me and several others, right? I don't want to take credit for it. And people didn't listen. And people said that we were going to be able to run the ball, and Gentry was going to be offensive player, offensive rookie of the year, and he was going to, do all these crazy things. And I laid down the gauntlet preseason. I said 1,600 yards total offense. 1,600 yards total offense. That is that's what I need for Genty to justify him being a top 10 pick. And then all of a sudden Genty started struggling, and it was everybody around Genty. Well, that's the point, right? To be a productive running back, you need help around you. Like, you need help around you unless you're generational. And Genty isn't generational. So as soon as people started pointing to everything that was happening around Genty and not to Genty, that let me know, okay, well then he's not generational, because you can't say that this guy needs all this help. He needs all the play calling is this, or the offensive line. Every running back needs that to some extent. But if you're a special player, you create your own opportunities, right? You hit cutback lanes, you bounce runs outside, you out leverage guys, you beat guys to the edge, and you cut up field. Like, you were able to do these things on a consistent basis. And this is just not something that he's been able to do on a consistent basis. I think he's a good player, but you can get good running backs in the second, third, fourth round, right, in the fifth rounds in some cases. So, like, for a guy to be drafted in the top 10 as a running back, you have to be all pro level running back. Like, that's what you need to. People comparing him to Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley out the gates led the league in scrimmage yards. So I don't want to hear these excuses that people have, because that's not the energy they had preseason. So I mean, like, it really doesn't move me. Really doesn't move me. So sick of Jacoby. Yeah, I mean, Jacoby hasn't been that good of a blocker this year, and he's traditionally been a really good blocker. And I said before, could be a case of quiet quitting. Right, Jacoby wants to get up out of here, and it could be. I don't know if it's consciously or subconsciously. Like I said in the past, like, people, if they don't feel they're being compensated what they should be compensated, people will consciously or subconsciously withhold effort, right? Like, if you hate your job, or if you go into a job where you just punch in the clock and you don't feel you're being paid, you just go through the motions. You go through the motions. You might think you're doing a good job. You might think, hey, yo, I'm out here, I'm doing my job, right? And that's what you do. It's like, I'm out here, I'm doing my job. Am I going to bust my ass and give 1,000%? No, because I don't feel that I'm being compensated for that kind of effort. And like I said, sometimes it's consciously people do that, and sometimes it's subconsciously, where it's like, like, could you do more? Yes, but like, your conscience is telling you, like, you've done enough. You've done quite enough here already. So, it be like that sometimes. So that's why I think we need to move off of him, man. Send him somewhere where they can utilize his services better, and somewhere where they're willing to pay him, or where he can win. Like, one of those three things. One of those three things. Because obviously here he hasn't really been getting a whole bunch of targets. We're not winning, and he's not getting paid. So, like, he's already reiterated his trade request. Like, he was quite clear about it. They asked him, like, yo, do you still want to be traded? He was, oh, for sure. He's like, for sure. But, basically, he's going to be where his feet are at. And if his feet are still in Vegas after the trade deadline, which is tomorrow, I believe, right? Tomorrow, is it noon Eastern tomorrow? So if it's tomorrow, then it's our 3 p.m. 3 p.m. Eastern tomorrow, I think. So if it's tomorrow, then so be it. But like other teams are already making moves. I think the Eagles just traded for a pretty good pass rusher from the Dolphins and Jalen Phillips. And there's like the rich get richer with that one, and we're over here sitting on our hands trying to figure out, like trying to figure out how to best use Tyler Lockett. So I don't even get me started, man. Don't even get me started on Pete Carroll. Is this trying to keep this thing to like an hour, but I will go upside Pete Carroll's head all live long if y'all let me. So, it is what it is at this point. Yes, Assassin's Creed. The offense has been caroled. It has been. It's not even Christmas carol. Like it's just been caroled, man. And that's the thing. Like people forget, and people like want to put Chip Kelly this, Chip Kelly that. People forget coming into the year. Like, all everyone was talking about was how creative Chip Kelly was in the run game. Whether that was at Oregon, whether that was at Philadelphia, whether that was in UCLA, whether that was at Ohio State, how creative he was in the run game. Like doing like crazy, super creative stuff, super like crazy disguises, like just being a mad scientist in the run game. That's all we hear about. And then he gets here, and it's super simple. Like that's not a coincidence, right? Like everywhere else, he's been creative, college or pros. He's been just creative, and all of a sudden, when Brennan Carroll is the run game coordinator, Chip Kelly is deploying the simplest run game he's ever deployed. And Chip Kelly is deploying the simplest run game he's ever deployed. And people are like, yeah, it's definitely Chip Kelly's fault. Like, what? Like, what? Like, what? Like, are you sure about that? Like, this is the guy that had multiple people have career years under him. Offensive production, right? He's the guy that sent several running backs to the NFL. Several guys that probably should have never been drafted to the NFL. So, Joshua Kelly, Braden Brown, like these are guys that that probably shouldn't have been drafted, and he got those guys drafted. So all of a sudden now, did he just forget how to call the run game? Did he forget how to run outside zone? Did he forget how to run? No, like he didn't forget these things. Like he didn't get less creative. The man is in handcuffs right now, and it's sad to see. So like I think once like in the worst part of it is that I don't know if Pete Carroll's going to ever tell Brennan to back off, because he's not going to identify Brennan as an issue. He's going to, and we've already seen it. We've already seen what happened, and this is the cold part, right? Because like early in the year, Pete Carroll was like, "Oh my God, we got to break Genty in, right? We got to break Genty in. We don't want to put all these carries on him. We want to kind of ease him into the game, right? We want to ease him into the game. The second we start losing, or the second people start pointing to Brennan, and then the narrative around our offensive struggles is offensive line is bad. Brennan Carroll should be fired. Then Pete Carroll's language changed. If you notice, it wasn't we want to ease Genty. He's like, oh, I think we should be running the ball more. And it's like, oh, like people are like asking, like, well, why aren't you running the ball more? It's like, I don't call the plays. I don't like. It's like he's throwing Chip Kelly directly under the bus in favor. And as I said before, if Chip Kelly gets fired, who do you think is going to be the offensive coordinator? Who do you think is going to be the offensive coordinator? Could it be Joe Philbin? Possibly. But I think there's somebody on staff that Pete Carroll would trust a little bit more than Joe Philbin. I wonder who that is. So, look, maybe a conspiracy theory, but it all lines up, right? All of a sudden, the play calling is being criticized. He's saying we should run more after the fan base and the media start criticizing the offensive line play. I don't think that's a coincidence at all. So we'll see how that plays out. But it's not looking too well for Chip Kelly, and it's a shame because, like I said, I think he's been handcuffed. I think he has a 74-year-old weight around his neck, and maybe LS can squat that, but we've seen the kind of shape Chip Kelly is in. I don't think he can do it. That's my guy. We've tried picking outside the top 5 for years. Yeah, we've been winning meaningless games for years. And when the draft comes around, we always regret it. Let's try some difference. Man, I still remember to this day, it was a Denver game that we won late in the year. A meaningless game in Denver that people don't even remember the score of that game. They don't even remember the score, but know what they do remember? They remember how they felt when we drafted Clelin Ferrell, when we should have had a chance at Nick Bosa, or should have been in position to draft Quentin Williams. They don't remember the score for that game, but they remember us taking Clelin Ferrell that early in the draft. Had we lost that game, we don't flip a coin with San Francisco, and then we're in position to pick whoever the heck we want. It was a 3-player draft, and we were picking 4. Like that's not a good position to be in. But it happens that way because we win meaningless games. And I know people come, oh, you know what? There's some little kid that's going to the Raider game with his dad, and it's his first ever Raider game. He may never ever be able to go to a Raider game again. Tickets at Allegiant are expensive, and all we want is for that kid to see a good product on the field. We want him to walk away and walk out of Allegiant Stadium with his head held high because the Raiders won. And know what I say to that? Fuck that kid. Fuck him. I don't give a damn about that kid and experience in the stadium. I care about winning. And I don't care about winning one meaningless game in November. I care about winning games for years to come. And you do that, you have a better chance of doing that by drafting early, because when you draft early, you control who you draft. You're not at the whims of several teams in front of you, right? The earlier you pick, the more control over the draft you have. That's why a team like Cleveland, they can pick up several productive players: Mason Graham, Carson Schlesinger, Quinshon Judkins, like 2 quarterbacks, even though one of them is ass and the other one we have yet to see him play. They were able to do that. And then my man from Tennessee, who's Dylan Sampson, another back who I think is going to be a damn good, that they were able to do that because they picked early and they were able to swindle some team into trading up. And when you're picking high, you have the ability to do that. Or you can stick and pick and have the choice of whatever player you want. But when you win stupid games for a team that's not even going to go to the playoffs, or go to the playoffs and get smacked, like you're hustling backwards. You are hustling backwards. You are buying stock high and selling low. That's what you're doing. You're costing yourself every time you do some stupid shit like that. And the Raiders have been habitual stupid shit doers. Like that's our history. We do dumbass shit and then we wonder why we suck. And then the fans like, oh, we wonder why we suck. And then the justification is, well, the Raiders haven't been drafting that well anyway. No, part of the reason why we haven't drafted well is because we've been drafting like in the middle of the rounds, right? Like we've been drafting in the middle of the rounds. When you're drafting in the middle of the rounds, know what that means? That means you probably have a sorry ass team that wasn't bad enough to be picked early and wasn't good enough to be picking late. So you already have a flawed roster. So you're not picking late because your roster is already flawed, but you're stupid enough to win meaningless games. So you're not picking early. So know what? You're stuck in the middle. And that's where that's the worst place to be. That is purgatory. You either want to be competing for a playoff spot and be a team that can actually win in the playoffs, or be so bad that you're picking early. Where you don't want to be is in the middle, because in the middle that's when you have the most depreciated asset. And people always think about, oh, we haven't been that great picking high in the first round anyway. Okay, that may be the case, but guess what? When you pick high in the first round, I don't know if anybody told you, you pick high in the second round too. And stop the presses. You pick high in the third and the fourth. And get this, the fifth and the sixth too. And hold your horses. The seventh is, so you pick high in every round. So you have a better shot of getting guys that you want in these rounds. The higher you pick in these rounds. And then when you're picking high in these rounds, that gives you mobility to trade back. Let's say you're picking high in the third round. Well, I'll be damned. That gives you a better chance to trade into the late second if you see a guy falling, right? And those are the moves that we have not been able to make. We have not been agile enough in these drafts, or not have shown the ability to move up and grab guys that we want or consistently teams have been trading. Like the Cardinals got us twice. The Cardinals got us with Paris Johnson, and they got us with Will Johnson, right? Like they've gotten us multiple times, like because they've been agile in drafts. And we're doing the opposite. We had a chance to draft Will Johnson, and we traded back instead, hoping he'd fall. And guess what? The Cardinals picked him right in front of us, and then we settled for Jack. I think we traded back one more time after that, and then we settled for Jack Bech. And the pick that we missed out on Will Johnson for, who was one of the not only the best DB as a rookie, the best rookie DB, but he was one of the best DBs in the league. We missed out on that guy for Jack Bech, who's been invisible, and for Caleb Rogers, who I don't think has been active a single game. So like the math is not mathing with our draft, man. So it's crazy, man. I just don't get it, man. I just don't get it. Appreciate it, Marcus. I've been going off on tangents, bro, so I don't know what point I was making. So I appreciate that. Sad part is we have qualified people in the building, but Peter's being stubborn and loyal to his own people. I honestly can see him gone and having Spy Tech bring it over. But look, I feel the same way, right? I feel the same way because look at this. We brought in Spy Tech, who was supposed to be one of the best young minds in the scouting world as our GM. We brought in the guy from Denver, who Denver's drafted pretty well over the years, to be an assistant GM. Then we brought in multiple guys from Philadelphia. One of those guys being Howie Roseman's right-hand man, right? The guy that's like been integral to the things that they're doing over in Philadelphia. We do all of that. We do all of that to do what? To sign Alex Kappa, to bring in Brandon Forsythe, to trade for Geno Smith, to bring in Tyler. Like we do all this stuff just for Pete Carroll to bring in Pete Carroll guy? Like what? Like what? Like what? Like this it don't make no sense. It doesn't make any sense. It's like trading for Randy Moss. And it's like, man, but we're gonna run straight West Coast offense. Straight West Coast offense. We're gonna dig like why bring in Randy Moss? That's what you're gonna do. Like why? Like no point in bringing in these deep. Like I got Randy Moss. I got Ted King Jr. But we gonna run West Coast off. Like what? Like this it's stupid. It's stupid. But that's what we're doing. That's what we're doing. Man, I'm missing some super chats. Appreciate my guy East Coast, man, for signing up for the membership, man. Salute to my guy. Appreciate had him on the show last week, man. Thank you for showing up. The anti-tank fans have always made me laugh. We've been losing for 20 years. Where y'all suddenly get this pride from? Nobody, bro. And that's my point, man. Like, I understand. Like, it's hard for some people to like actively root for their team to lose. That's why it's #SS. Like, and I would never tell a player lose this game. I would never ask a player to purposely lose a game because that goes against everything that they've been taught. That, you know, I have a son that's in athletics. That goes against everything I would tell my son to do. I tell him all the time, you may not be the best guy out there. You may not be the fastest. You might not be the biggest. You can't control any of that. There's one thing you can control, and that's how hard you play. And if you go out there in every rep and you do your very best, I guarantee you that you will be better than 98% of people out here. And that's what I preach. And I expect the coaches to preach that too. But I expect them to preach that to Cody Lindenberg and to Tommy Eichenberg and to, you know, Gritty Vance and throw Caillou Blue Kelly back out there and throw Darian Porter. Like I expect them to treat that same mantra to those guys. And like let the chips fall where they may, right? If they win, they win. If you win, hey, we're developing young guys. And we've laid a foundation of young players that can carry us to the future. And if we lose, then we get better draft position. It's a win-win proposition. But like people don't want to operate under like there is nothing better in the world than win-win. Like if you win on both sides of something, like that's the greatest thing ever, right? Like that's what you want. And that's what SS is all about. You win if you lose, and you win if you win. Right? There's no bad there at all, but I just don't get it. I just don't get it. Has anybody ever met a 70-year-old who is open to change? I haven't. Pete would rather nosedive in flames on his own terms. Yeah, because when you've won your way, you only want to do things your way. and you think that you know better than everybody. It's almost like it's like music where or it's like basketball, right? We're here the old heads talk, oh man, the NBA back in my day, that was the best era. That was the toughest, and yeah, right. Like they've come up and they've seen things one way, or they listen to music and they've heard it one way, and they think that is the best way and the only way to really do it. So like the things they have affinity to, they're going to cling to those things like nothing else, and that's all they know. But when you try to present something new to them, it's foreign. And as you say, what people hate, like most people in general don't like change. People in general don't like change. Even if they think it might be good for them, change is a scary thing. So you think about a guys they think their reputation and their legacy and all of that stuff is riding on what they do or how the team performs. They're going to put it all on themselves, and and that was his downfall in Seattle. Marshawn spoke to it. We have that up. We have a clip of that up on Around the Shield where Marshawn was talking about he's trying to create the Legion of Boom or trying to recreate what he did in Seattle, and like that's a once in a lifetime thing, man. You got to reinvent yourself, man. Like I said it before. Like it'd be like Michael Jackson trying to make another Thriller. Like, man, I got another. I got to make it. No, bro, you can't do that. You can't try to make another Thriller. You got to make something new, right? Like you can't. Bad was a good ass album. Bad wasn't bad at all because he wasn't trying to do Thriller again. He evolved, right? Like, and that's what you have to do. That's what you do as an artist. What you have to do as a coach, as a GM. Like you constantly have to evolve because teams catch up and they adjust. So what you did last year is not going to be the same as this year. And that's kind of what we saw happen to Sean McVay a little bit, where they were doing some things and they were so advanced, doing them with the ghost motions and all the stuff they were doing. Like teams then had no idea what they were doing. But then eventually teams caught up. So then Sean McVay had to evolve and advance. And look at him now, right? Got Matthew Stafford out there looking like an MVP candidate. So like that's what it takes. But when you're 70 or 74 years old, bro, like you're a septuagenarian, like you're not going to change. You're not going to change. Shout out to my guy, Ruben Russ. Appreciate you, brother. Do you think Geno lacks accountability because Pete doesn't hold him accountable? Seems like Geno does no wrong in Pete's eyes. Seems like Russell Wilson had the same treatment in Seattle. Yeah, man, I think Pete has hitched. Pete has hitched his wagon to Geno, right? That was his guy. He's the one that advocated it for him, pounded it to the table to bring him in. And the Raiders obliged. And now that he's struggling, like that's a decision that leads directly back to him. And if you notice, there's been a dichotomy between guys who were peak guys and guys who were not peak guys, right? Perfect example, guys who were not peak guys, JPJ. What does JPJ have to do? He has to compete. He has to scratch and claw for every rep he can get. Geno, he won't even pull Geno out the game because he needs more practice, right? Dante Thornton, took them forever to replace Dante Thornton. And what did it take for them to finally replace Dante Thornton completely? Another Pete Carroll guy, right? Dante Thornton was inactive for Tyler Lockett. Like, so the only way you can be replaced or be held accountable if you're a Pete guy is if you find a Pete guy that Pete's known even longer, right? Chip Kelly already said Dante Thornton was the guy that Pete Carroll identified in the draft process. So that was like his pet draft pick, and he had the starting job basically out the gate. It didn't seem like there was a competition there at all. And it took them signing Tyler Lockett for him to even be inactive or to really start losing significant reps. Obviously, we started moving Jack Besh in a little bit in these past few games, but for him to be inactive and sat down, it took Tyler Lockett to be here. So like that kind of shows you his mentality. And people don't I think I said in the beginning, I said I didn't want Pete Carroll to be the coach, and I had a plethora of reasons. And all of those reasons are coming to fruition now because we're in that exact same position I said we could potentially be in. And this is a position you don't want to be in. Whereas like if Pete Carroll wins, he's gone in like 2 years. If Pete Carroll loses, like, damn, do you really want to fire a third coach after 1 year? Like, do you really want that? So like the only way the Raiders can really get out of this is if Pete Carroll of his own free will of his own free will just decides to walk away from the NFL, hang up his dry fit shirts and call it a day, right? Like that's the only way we can really get out of this, because if we fire another guy, it is going to be like it's already a yeoman's work to try to get a young candidate to come here, because we fired Josh McDaniels prematurely. We should have let him finish out the year, let him go at the end of the season with dignity, but we fired him on Halloween night while he's out with his kids. Like, that's despicable. And then we did the same thing to Antonio Pierce, where we let the guy go out there, give his last press conference as if he's a coach, and then the very next day we fire. Like, we do these things. And as I said before, coaching is a fraternity. And a lot of these coaches share agents. So, like, how you treat people, that has ramifications, that has ripple effects, and it has consequences and repercussions, and all of those things, right? And so when you do people dirty, people are going to remember that, and they're going to think like, yo, man, if I get there and if I don't have instant success with this roster, I can lose my job after a year and not even really have like a full like two cycles to implement my draft class. Like, I can be gone after that. Like, especially for a young coach who's getting his feet wet. Why would a young coach with no experience want to come here? So that's why we're forced to hire these old retreads who with promises of instant success, because they've done it before and they know how it looks, and I know how to build it, and I know how to build a culture, and I'm all about I do two things. I chew bubble gum and kick ass, and I'm all out of bubble gum. But guess what? Pete Carroll has plenty of bubble gum. That's why we ain't kicking no ass. That's why we're not kicking no ass. Who else, man? Somebody else with a super chat. My guy Raider Smoke. Thank you for echoing what I've been telling folks. You can't keep picking outside the range in the draft where you can get front. Yeah, man, I know people, it's Raider PTSD, man. I know the last time we picked a quarterback, high in the draft, it was Jamarcus Russell. And that's a pick we shouldn't have made, right? Like, I was and at that point, I was all about Calvin Johnson. In that draft. And we picked Jamarcus Russell. That was a massive reach, right? And everybody said, the only other team that was willing to pick Jamarcus Russell that high that year was the Cleveland Browns. That should tell you all you need to know right there. It was the Cleveland Browns. And we've seen what they've done with quarterback draft picks in the past. It's just not even quarterback draft, it's quarterback acquisitions. They either get them and they don't know how to develop them, or they get them and they ruin them, right? Like, Deshaun Watson was considered one of the best quarterbacks in the league. He got to Cleveland and he's terrible. Baker Mayfield was looking like a bust in Cleveland. Like, Tim Couch, like all these guys year after year. What was it? Deshaun Kaiser, I think, was another. Like, all these people have failed in Cleveland, and they were the only other team. I think they were picking 4 or 5 that year. So that tells you all you need to know about Jamarcus Russell. We shouldn't have picked him there. So a lot of people were kind of like adverse to picking quarterback early, but guess what? The NFL is different now. You can make a bad pick at quarterback early on and still survive as a franchise. Obviously, we don't have the level of talent that the 49ers have, but they were able to trade up, give up assets for a guy like Trey Lance. And you know what? They survived it, right? You can survive making that pick. You can survive it. The Bears, obviously, Mitchell Trubisky, I think in another situation, they traded up from the 3rd pick to the 2nd pick to secure Mitchell Trubisky. And, obviously, it didn't work out for them, but guess what? They got Khalil Mack one year. I think they went 12-4, and, they went to the playoffs. So like, you can recover from those picks, but like, shoot or shoot, and you can't make it if you don't take it, right? So unless you're taking these chances, like, you're not going to have that success, right? Fortune favors the bold, and we've been mild forever, less than mild, right? We've been less than mild forever, and so it's time to start taking some chances, man. We need a quarterback, and like, until we get a franchise guy, like, it's going to be the same old. And another thing, a franchise quarterback, you know what else a franchise quarterback does? A franchise quarterback puts asses in the legion. Right? People will buy tickets to see a franchise quarterback play. So everybody's worried about home field advantage. Draft a guy early. That the fan base can get behind, and I guarantee you, if you build it, they will come. but we haven't been doing it. We have not been doing it. Let me see, man. Chat going crazy, man. I'm sorry. Get the get the cooking cooking hat ready, man. Get the cooking. You already know, man. Who is this? Who is this? Ellis. Once Genty gets a better O line, a better play caller, younger coach, new cleats, and new pregame outfit. Look, man, pregame outfits, bro. Pregame outfits. They might want to talk to Genty about that, bro. They might want to bro. They might want to do it, bro. People was legitimately comparing him to Barry Sanders. Legitimately, people were saying like he was already better than Josh Jacobs, who was one time an NFL rushing leader, and I think he was top 4 in rushing last year. And people already know. I was one of the people that said I didn't want to pay Josh Jacobs, but if I had known that we were just going to draft Genty and make him the second highest guaranteed money running back behind Saquon only, I would have said, well, damn, I might as well just pay Jacobs if that was going to be in our future. Like I just don't believe in paying a running back in the running backs, right? I think you can kind of get by with these other guys. We see what Cam Scatterbull CTE Scatterbull was doing up there in New York. So I mean, I just don't see. I didn't see the logic in it. Yeah, man. Number 6 couldn't get a yard, bro. Got stuck by a corner too, bro. And it's like I said, man. I don't want to just keep kicking Genty's back in, bro. But it's just like you got to be better than that, man. We draft you at 6, bro. Like when we down there and we give you opportunities, you got to make the most of them. Yeah, shout out to my guy East. I see a lot of people in the chat giving love to ECG. Yeah, man, go over there, check out East Coast Gridiron, man. You know, if you want to see, he does film studies all the time, man. So if you want to get more knowledgeable about the game, he's a guy that does like long, lengthy film sessions where he'll go through multiple games of a guy and he ain't doing it for the money. You know, he's doing it just for the love. So, you know, go over there and check him out. I see anytime I'm able to check him out, I see a few of our people from the chat over there. So, man, go over there and show the guys some support, man. Those guys work hard over there. 100 Severe, once they start talking about his son, bro, man, I'm telling you, Huey, as soon as it was like, oh, it's the offensive line, he instantly threw Chip Kelly under the bus. Instantly. It's crazy. Let's see. I don't know what you're laughing at, man. I'm so behind on this chat, man. I don't know, bro. I don't know how 805 be doing this, bro. I'm woefully behind this chat, man. What can we get for everyone not named Max Kuntz, Tyree, Adam Butler in the trade? I'm trading everybody, bro. The only player on this team that's untouchable is Brock, because Brock is a freaking unicorn. Like he's the only player that's untouchable. If I can get a first for Genty, I'm trading Genty. I'm not trading Genty for anything less than a first. Like, I'm not doing that. But if I can get a first for Genty, I'm trading him. If I can get 2 firsts and a later round pick for Max, I'm doing that. Tyree, if I can get anything for Tyree, bro, I'm trading. If I can get a seat warmer for at least, like I'm trading Tyree for whatever I can get for Tyree, bro. You know, like Adam Butler, and he's a guy, you know, I hate to see him go because Adam Butler's out there whipping ass yesterday. Outside of that, you know, that missed tackle he had. But if you look at Adam Butler play, he's the one guy getting double teamed like consistently, like taking on consistent double teams, freeing up other guys. He does the grunt work. He doesn't get a lot of love for it. He's allowing guys like Max to get off. You know, we would hope that Kuntz would be getting off. It's not happening. So, you know, the Kuntz is another good one. He's a possible trade candidate. We probably wouldn't get more than like a 6th, maybe a late 5th for Kuntz. So, but yeah, I'm having a fire sale, bro. I'm having a fire sale. Everybody can go. Everybody can go. Man, a part of me is okay that we lost because we always end up just outside that range yeah, man. I was cool with the loss, man. That's like I said, that game was cool. That was a perfect game for me. It's a competitive game. We got to see some offense. We got to see Max make some big plays. Got to see Brock make some big plays. Got to see, you know, for Genty fans, they got to see him score a touchdown. And we got the regular Geno interception, like, you know, like that's a tradition for Raider games. So we kept that tradition going. So like we got a little bit of everything. So I was cool with the loss, man. Like, you know, like I wasn't rooting for the loss. I was rooting for a good game and let the chips fall where they may, right? I thought we was gonna lose anyway, so it wasn't that big of a deal. But I wasn't upset. I didn't like I wasn't I didn't go Cuba Gooding Jr. in my living room, right? Like Boys in the Hood, right? I was cool. I was like, all right, cool. Like this, where we at on Tankathon? Cool. I'm good with that. I'm good with that. And like that's why at this point, bro, like this point is I root for the Raiders to do well and to lose close games. Like that's what it is, man. Like I just root for them to do well and lose close games because there's nothing a win does for me. Is it good for my fifis? Like I don't like it's how is that helping me this year? Like helping me feel good about us winning this year. We're not going to do anything. Like that's a sunk cost, man. That's a sunk cost. That's like it's throwing like bad money after good. Like it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. It'd be like buying a Blockbuster franchise right now, or like setting up a red box somewhere. Like like bro, like what? Like like what are you doing? Like this is passed you by already. Like this is not the time for this. Like the time for this was like years ago. Like this like right, the time for this winning stuff was in the beginning of the year. That paradigm shift has occurred, bro. Like this is not the time to be like to be doing this, right? Like no, like find something else, bro. Like it's. Like it just don't get it, man. It just don't get it. So people don't. It don't make no sense, man. Just don't make any sense. On the bottom of the chat. Oh damn, I'm nowhere near the bottom of the chat. What else was saying? Wasn't Pete seeing it? Yes, Pete. But and that's another thing. That's the thing that instantly pissed me off. Pete and had anybody else done something like this, let Antonio Pierce have done this, right? Like Pete was teaching a class while he's supposed to be the Raiders coach. What? Like what? This is the most pivotal time of the year. You just got in here. The draft is 3 months away, and you're taking time out of your day to fly to LA and teach a class. Like, bro, like no, bro. You need to. If you're supposed to be laying the foundation, you're supposed to be the figurehead of this organization on the football side of things. You need to be here. And you know what? Hindsight is 2020. Maybe it's kind of good that he wasn't involved. I mean, maybe he should have been involved less. Like maybe that was the recipe. Maybe, and we didn't know it at the time. Maybe he should have been involved less. Peter's like, it could have been my kid. When it comes to Gino, yeah, man. Hey, facts, bro. Like Gino is like his. Gino is like like them rich white people be like adopting kids from Africa and stuff. It's like just to have them, like you see my son over there, Demetrius. Like that's Pete Carroll. Like see my kid, Ruben. We've seen Gino have horrible games. Yeah, man. Yeah, like we should have. He had a few games. Like he should have been benched. Like like they will bench Jackson Powers Johnson for Alex Capel, who's going to be out of the league possibly next year. If Peter Carroll has anything to do with it, but possibly out of the league next year. But they don't want to bench Geno Smith, who's 35 years old. Like it don't make any sense, bro. It's clear favoritism for guys he has affinity for. Like guys he doesn't like, they get the what's this the old saying? For my friends, everything. For my enemies, the law. Like that's how Pete Carroll runs this thing, right? For people that are on his good side, they get whatever they want. They get all the leash, all the rope, all the snaps, all the leeway. And for people that are not his guys, they get competition. All right, that's the compete mantra. Like if you're my guy, you get all the leeway. If you're not my guy, you can compete. And that's a sad state of affairs. That's sad. Yo, Dangerous was a cold album. Liberian Girl, hey, Liberian Girl is my to this day, heavy rotation. P's going to die on hey, Franklin Skinner. I was gonna say your lips to God's ears, but I don't even want to say that. I don't want to say I ain't trying to get fully deplatformed. Not on the first show. Maybe a couple shows in, I'll take that risk, but not on the first show. Pete going full Titanic. Yeah, man. He's going full Leonardo DiCaprio hanging out the water, right? He going full Leonardo DiCaprio hanging out the water while his woman on while Geno Smith is chilling on she's chilling on a plank, whatever the hell she was chilling on. Like Pete Carroll's gonna be the one that's going, hey bro, this is your hill to die on. This is literally your hill to die on. Where my guy, Super Omnicron? I saw him in here. Salute to Super Omnicron. I'm trying to find you in here, brother. It's like paralysis. Nobody wants to make a decision that'll backfire. Yeah. Yeah. But like nobody, and that people like a lot of people care too much about what people say. I go to Monster, bro. Like you can't operate like that, bro. You can't operate giving a damn what other people say. Like I've called out some. I've had some bad takes. I've had some bad takes. My Brock Bowers take that didn't age well. I think people took it out of context, but hey, but yet and still, right? I was critical of the Brock Bowers pick, but I can turn out fantastic. I've been critical of the Genty pick, and look, I'm right. Critical of Pete Carroll. Looks like I'm right. I was critical of us firing Josh McDaniels, but because I said that we wouldn't be able to hire a young coach or no serious coaching candidate would take us seriously as an organization if we did that, especially coming into a season where we were already ranked like the second worst organization by agents and executives, right? These are people that represent clients and people who are in other organizations, and they took a vote from these people, and they're like, yeah, only the Panthers are worse than the Raiders. Oh, and that was after they just had their debacle where they fired Frank Reich, right? Where embarrassingly, after Frank Reich had advocated to draft CJ Stroud over Bryce Young, and then Bryce Young struggles mightily, and CJ Stroud leads his team to the playoffs, and then they fire Frank Reich for that, right? It's like after that debacle, they still said the Panthers are just slightly worse than the Raiders. So when you have that kind of reputation, what young coach wants to stake their future, their families, their legacy, their families, the food on their family's table, a roof over their family's head? Like, who wants to stake that on the Raiders? And nobody. Apparently, as we saw from this last hiring cycle, where Todd Monken, who's not a spry chicken, he straight up said no. Like, we requested an interview, and he left us on red. Like, he wasn't messing with us at all. And that's, you reap what you sow. You reap what you sow. So, like the Raiders are going to have to hire like a QB coach, or they're going to have to hire a guy like and it not even anymore, because I was like maybe a guy like a Cliff Kingsbury who was kind of like on a second go around, but even Cliff will probably be like, yeah, I'm cool on y'all, man. I'm cool. I see what happened last time. Y'all tried to lowball me on the offer, partially because you probably had preconceived notions about what you wanted to do with Antonio Pierce before the season, and you didn't want to hit your wagon to him and to an offensive coordinator. So instead of offering me the 3 years that I wanted, you offer me a 2-year deal. So like I'm good off y'all. I see how y'all operate when it comes to coaches. So like you think like I said before we hired Pete Carroll, Mike LaFleur is a guy, but now I'm thinking like Mike LaFleur ain't messing with us, man. People talking about Joe Brady. What? You think Joe Brady, who might be one of the hottest commodities, and we've reached the stage where I think LS might have said it on the last show, or if it's somebody else or whoever, somebody said it, but we've reached the stage where blank checks mean nothing, because blank check is money now. These people, they're in the positions they're in because they didn't necessarily think about the now. They made the moves thinking about their future. So you can get $10 million a year for 2 years, right? Let's say we give him like the John Gruden $10 million a year deal for 2 years. That's only $20 million. But we see what happened with Dennis Allen. It took Dennis Allen a decade, and that's while being one of the best defensive coordinators in the league. A guy that had Tom Brady running off the field, cussing at him because how frustrated he was with his defense. It took that guy a decade to get a second job. Steve Spagnuolo, a guy who's won multiple Super Bowls as a defensive coordinator, has yet to get another opportunity. Like, it may never, Brian Flores has yet to get another opportunity. It may never happen for you. It may never happen for you, because what happens in that first job, that people aren't going to always remember the circumstances. They're going to remember whether you won or you lost. If you come over here and you start losing, it could be a wrap. It could be done for you. And you may never get another chance. So people, they're going to take that very seriously, extremely seriously. And we haven't been taking care of that side of the coaching side of the coaching searches and side of our handling of the head coach position seriously enough. We haven't been thinking. We've been playing, instead of playing 3-dimensional chess, we've been playing 1-dimensional shoots and ladders, or like, half-dimensional Candyland. Like we haven't taken it seriously, and now it's having ramifications, man. So like we got to be more strategic with that stuff, and unfortunately, we haven't been strategic enough with it, man. So like it's a sad day. Carroll done after this year, and Spy Tech Pictures guy. See, that's the thing. Like, we can't fire him. That's the only thing. I want to be done after this year, but we can't fire him, man. We can't fire him because like that would be a bad look, man. That'd be. And it's almost like you want to say teams will understand, or like other coaches will understand, but at the same time, bro, it's like, man, like I don't know, because that's 3 in a row, bro. It's like, right? It's like, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Like what happens third time? Like right? Who's the shame on it? Like you can't keep repeating that same mistake. So it's like I don't know, man. I just don't know. So look to my guy, Coach. So the Raiders are the only ones that have done coaches dirty. Not the only one that done coaches dirty, but we've done it consistently. We've done them consistently dirty. So like like you can do it once, and it's not a trend. But we've had a trend. Like this goes back to Del Rio. Well, it goes back to Gruden, right? We traded Gruden, and then the Del Rio thing, where we had Del Rio announce his own firing, and then obviously, people felt some kind of way about how Versace was handled. People they celebrated in the streets about how Josh McDaniel was handled, but that was the wrong move. Then I maintain to this day that was the wrong move. And then obviously we did Antonio Pierce dirty, and now we could have to potentially do it 3 years in a row, bro. It's like, bro, it's like at least do your, like, bro, you can't like, you can't cheat on your girl and then be like, then next week cheat on her and be like, baby, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. That's not who I am. And then do it again like the next week. Like, nigga, what? Like you can't, no, you can't. You're not gonna get away with it 2 times like back to back. You gotta give some space. You gotta, and that's what we're doing, man. We're doing dirt back to back. It's wild. People talk for show. Let me put this up. People talk for show who wants to come here. Remember Cliff Kingsman, Ben Johnson both? Yeah. Like, bro, people like was seriously thinking Ben Johnson will come here. And I started, and it got so bad that I started believing the BS, because I said in the beginning, like, bro, this is a favorite. Ben Johnson don't want to win the world. Ben Johnson is coming here. Then the rumors kept coming. I'm like, yo, man, look, maybe there's smoke where there's fire. I don't feel it's like that, but because the fact that he wouldn't even take a actual interview, like if he's a serious candidate for a job, you come in person and you interview for the job, right? It seems like, what that was like? He was interviewing us. Like it wasn't us interviewing him for a job that he wants. He was interviewing us, and really it was like probably more than anything picking Tom Brady's brain, because that's who conducted most of the interview, but also probably just saying what we were at his organization. Obviously, he might have known he was going to take the Bears job. He understood that the Bears were going to play the Raiders that year. Let me get these suckers for as much information as I can, because they're desperate to hire me, and then I'm gonna leave them at the altar. And that's what they did. By what, Coach? Salute. I'm not bueno. Let me see. Ruben Russ. If you have full control over the team, GM severe takeover, what is the 2 to 3 year rebuild looks like? And that's a difficult thing. Well, first of all, I lose out, bro. I'm throwing Cam Miller out there. I'm starting Zamir White. I'm Raheem Mostert. Brock going on IR. Like I ain't gonna do Brock like that. But like I am going full on. I'm going full on like SS. I'm JJ Pageech. You starting Tonka Hemingway. You out there. Caleb Rogers. You in there at right guard. Charles Grant. You in there at left tackle. Darian Porter. You starting. Gritty Vance. You in the slot. Eric Stokes, he's young enough. Maybe he can stay out there. I'm going full young, and then I'm going out there. I said Mike LaFleur. Mike LaFleur has been my guy. I'm going all in on Mike LaFleur as my head coach, hoping he takes the job. If not, knowing the Raiders and knowing the state of our team, we probably have to identify a quarterbacks coach of a team somewhere. I'm trying to think of some. I can't even think. Like Gerard Johnson is a guy who I was a fan of. He was with the Texas organization. actually, I think in last cycle, or maybe the cycle before, he interviewed for some head coaching jobs. He's a guy I'd be interested in. I know, some of the sheen is off of his name, but Byron Leftwich, that might be a candidate. Hey, kind of outside the box candidate right there. I take a look at him. At one point, he was pretty hot commodity in terms of coaches. I think, like I said, people have kind of cooled on him. But he's a guy I would take a look at as well. And then within the draft, the draft, it's tough because this is the quarterbacks in this class. There are a lot of young guys. Obviously, Dante Moore is my guy. And I like Dante Moore and I like Ty Simpson. If neither one of those guys are there, Arvell Reese, man, it's hard to pass on a guy like Arvell, man. That guy's a monster. It's hard to pass on a guy like that. Or Bane, it's kind of hard to pass on a guy like that. Like Caleb Downs, that could be like an Aston Gentry. Well, I don't say Aston Gentry. I think Caleb Downs is better than him as a prospect. But he's a player that's like, he doesn't play a position that's in high demand, but he's like Brock Bowers. That's better. He's Brock Bowers, where he's so good. He's like, damn, you almost have to take him because he's that good. But obviously, you want to go quarterback there. I also go running back, like probably third round in this upcoming draft. Give Genty a complimentary guy, like a speed guy. I haven't looked at the running backs in this class. Everybody knows Jeremiah Love. There's also, I think there's a guy at Penn State too that's pretty good. And there's some other guys too. I can't think of the names off the top of my head, but I go running back third round. Give Genty a complimentary speed guy. I probably go high upside receiver in the second round. Whoever that is. So I address either quarterback in the first round if one of those two guys are there, if it's Dante Moore or Ty Simpson. If not, you almost have to go best player available. And if you go best player available in the first round, then you have to pick a guy at least in the second round. And that's where I know Pharaoh's kind of talked about it a lot. Brendan Sorsby. He's a guy you might take a look at. Mateer might be a guy that may be available if he comes out, may be very available in the second round. If you want to take a high risk, high reward guy, Drew Aller, I don't know where he will go because of that injury and because he wasn't having the best year this year, but he's a high risk, high reward guy. Take a look at him, but you got to address the quarterback position in this draft. Ideally, you do it early. Like I prefer to do it early. Like I said, I prefer to do it at the top of the draft, but you might have to trade up for that. And the Raiders have so many holes on this roster where if we're not in a position to take a guy, we're also really not in a position to move up for a guy either. So we're between a rock and a hard place. That's why all these years that we really haven't been drafting well, and all these years where, and this year where we're kind of winning games or trying to win games we probably really shouldn't, that could really set us back. So like it's tough. It's tough, but ideally that's kind of what it looks like. Let's see what's good. Trying to get to the bottom. Oh, my channel is my what you call it? Is it tripping? Is my what you call it going out? Let me know what I'm looking like. Man, facts, yeah, Dante Moore is putting asses in seats. Ty Simpson, I think he's putting asses in seats too. No, who's not putting asses in seats? Mendoza. Mendoza is the most. That is the Hispanic Kirk Cousins. That is Kirk Primos. Like he is he's just so wooden and cardboard of a person. It's just like he's so just manufactured and fake, and like all his answers sound like they were written by ChatGPT and delivered by artificial intelligence. Like he's just. So I can't people were clowning Tua for his pregame speech. Like I can't imagine Fernando Mendoza firing up a team. That's not something I can see. Has he looked good this year? I can't take away from him. He's played well this year. Kirk Cignetti is a wizard, bro. That guy is he might be the best coach in college football right now. That dude, him and Dan Lanning. And Ryan Day, people put Ryan Day up there. He's a national champion, but people kind of had questions about Ryan Day, especially in clutch, and it took Chip Kelly to kind of help him get over the hump this past year. But those three guys are the three guys, man. It was crazy thing is that all of them are in the Big Ten. So Yeah, man. But yeah, that like Cursing Nutty is a dog, so uh, he's doing his thing. Um, Mark gave Gruden 10 years with the NFL dude. They told the media to mock him as much as possible while he's with the Raiders, and they came up with emails to ruin him. I mean, I don't think they told the media to I don't think they told the media to mock him. I think it's just John Gruden is just a mockable person. I mean, that's just he's a target rich environment when it comes to being made fun of. But they definitely did throw Gruden under the bus. I don't think that was specifically because he was a Raiders coach. I think it was because it was a distraction. It was a diversion because they knew there was some other stuff going on with the NFL and with that organization that they wanted as much attention away from as possible. And what do people like? They like shiny objects and they like culture wars. And you got John Gruden talking about making racist remarks, making homophobic remarks, talking about the NFLPA director at that time was also a former Raider. So no, it wasn't a former Raider. Never mind. I'm thinking about somebody else. But nah. But you got them talking about the NFL, the head of the Players Association, and you got to talk about Roger Goodell. So not only are you talking about the guy who was supposed to be defending the players, but you're talking about the guy who's supposed to be looking out for the owner. So you got both sides of the coins. Like you can potentially have gang up on you. So like John Gruden was kind of stupid. Like he was kind of stupid. Like you shouldn't put that stuff in emails. like you shouldn't. You know that's like that's what signal chats are for. That's what that's what you use. Those kinds of stuff is for those particular. If you want to say stupid stuff or say inflammatory things or say like very incriminating things, like you use apps like that. But John Gruden was too dumb to do that. Bruh, man, bottomless mimosa attire for Ash and Genty, bro. Some of the sassiest outfits I've ever seen, bro, in the NFL. It's crazy. Or sign Derrick Henry. I mean, but Derrick Henry's not really a compliment to. I mean, I understand people wanted to sign Derrick Henry insofar as that in short yardage situations he'll be more effective than Genty because Genty has not been effective. People keep wanting to run the ball in the red zone. I even lost track of the numbers, but Genty's averaging like 1 point something yards per carry in the red zone. It's like trash. Beyond trash in the red zone. So all these people, why don't you run Genty more in the red zone? Like, because he's been terrible. Like that's why you don't do it. He's averaging less than 2 yards per carry in the red zone. That's why we don't run him in the red zone. So I can see us wanting to get a short yardage back, but we need a speed guy to complement him. I still blame our issues on Mark and his hiring. He simply hasn't been smart with personnel brought in. It's been disturbing. I mean, he has to blame. And that's why it's hard not to blame Mark, right? I've been a big Mark Davis defender insofar as that I think Mark has the right idea, but he's just made the wrong decisions. And sometimes, sometimes it's a level of, competency. Sometimes some people just can't get out of their own way. And it's tough. It's especially tough when it comes to hiring, if you're not good at hiring, because if you're not good at hiring and you're the person that does the hiring, then like it's not like like if you're not good at accounting, right? You can hire somebody to do accounting. If you're not good at scouting, you can hire somebody to do scouting. But if you're not good at hiring, then you have to hire somebody to do the hiring, but they're probably going to be bad too because you're not good at hiring. So like that's where it's between a rock and a hard place. Because I think in terms of NFL owners, Mark is ideal insofar as that he doesn't know football. He knows that he doesn't know football, and he desperately wants to give those responsibilities to somebody that does want football. He's not using this team as a piggy bank like some owners in other leagues and some owners in the past in this league has done. He's passionate. He's willing to spend money. He's willing to invest. He's willing to schmooze and kiss ass like he had to do with the NFL and like he had to do with Sheldon Adelson to get the Raiders to Vegas. Like he's willing to do all that stuff just for the betterment of the team. He's willing to spend money hand over fist, paying multiple coaches at the same time, paying John Gruden a settlement, paying Josh McDaniels, paying Antonio, paying all these, paying Ziegler, paying Telesco, paying all these people at the same time, then making Chip Kelly the highest paid OC in the league. We don't know how much Pete Carroll's gonna pay. He's willing to do all of that stuff, but what he can't do is hire. So it's tough because he wants to do well. I think he has the right idea, but he just can't execute it. And sometimes, like that matters more than anything. Sometimes that matters more than anything. Man, I'm messing up on these chats, man. Let's see where I'm at, man. I got super chats. Oh my God, LS, my guy LS with the $10. Next coach needs to be an offensive mind who can call plays. Otherwise, you risk what happened to the Lions this offseason. Too hard to replace an OC and a DC. Plus, you need continuity with a young QB. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of where the league has gone because this. I mean, look, we say defense wins championships, and it does. But ideally, you have a strong offensive-minded head coach like the Eagles have, right? And you have a good defensive coordinator that's able to coordinate a good defense because then you keep that continuity in terms of play caller. So as you pointed out, right, Dan Campbell without Ben Johnson, the Lions have still been playing pretty well, but like they're not what they were last year, right? They're not what they were last year. They're not what they were when they burst onto the scene. I remember was it like I don't know how many years ago when they went out week 1 and they beat the Chiefs and they kind of like stamped themselves as okay, damn, now you gotta take the Lions seriously. So you want to have an offensive minded head coach, but like it's difficult because those are the people that are in demand. And when you're in demand, know what you don't do? You don't go to the Raiders because obviously we haven't treated the head coaching job seriously. We haven't treated the candidates with the respect that they feel they deserve. And I'm sure other coaches are looking at that like, well, if they didn't treat this guy who's won multiple Super Bowls with the respect, with any kind of respect, they didn't treat this guy who's a lifelong Raider, whose dream was to coach the Raiders once he got into the coaching ranks. Like they didn't treat this guy with respect. So like, why would they treat me with any kind of respect when they disrespected both of these guys? So, I mean, that's kind of what you got to deal with. I've been bringing in Tom Brady, not Magic Johnson. I mean, I don't know I mean, look, everything Magic Johnson has touched in the sporting world, for the most part, has turned to gold, right? Like he's been doing his thing. Obviously, came to the Dodgers at a time where they were kind of down in the doldrums, and they've won multiple World Series there. I think when he was part owner of the Sparks, they won there. Right, he was part owner of the Lakers. Obviously, he was the guy that helped facilitate LeBron James to Lakers. We won a championship there. Went to the Western Conference Finals. So the Dodgers still winning, just won again. So like everything he's touched has turned to gold. Obviously, got to the Commanders. They instantly go to the not Eastern Conference Finals. Go to the NFC Championship game. So like that guy, he gets to organizations and they seek success. I don't know if it's just him. I don't just know if he knows how to pick them or if it's anything he's doing, but he's had success everywhere he goes. Coach can tell you're describing from the. Oh, I don't know. That's something that's between y'all two. Funny how, bro, man, like I said that, bro. I said the same thing once Pete Carroll was completely out of the because remember last year Pete Carroll was still on as an advisor as a senior advisor with the Seahawks. The second he's out of the building, they kicked him out of his corner office. He's over here at the Raiders. Instantly, Seattle's one of the best teams in the league, right? And Geno Smith, right? Geno Smith's gone too. But the second he's gone, both of those dudes are gone. Seattle's winning. Not a coincidence. And we look just like we looked last year with the rookie head coach and two of the worst quarterbacks you've ever seen in your life. That's crazy. I'm calling Dallas or San Francisco for Tyree, trying to see what they offer. Yeah, the only thing about San Francisco is that Michael Williams is basically like a better version of Tyree. So like you'd have two Tyree Wilsons where Michael is not great against the pass, but he's already showing that he's gonna be a very high level run defender. And they need some pass rush over there. I mean, that they were desperate enough to sign Klee. Like, do you give up something after you? I mean, like is Tyree an upgrade over Klee? No, like not really. So like, do you get? He's younger, more expensive too. So like, do you really give up something for Tyree at this point? If you're San Francisco, Dallas, I can see that. I can see that where Dallas, they're desperate. They're desperate. Like they're desperate for any kind of help on defense. So if they think Tyree, like the stopping the run is something they can use too. So if they think Tyree can help them in that department, we saw how Rico Dowdle did them. So if they think Tyree can help in that department, I can see them giving up a fifth or something like that for Tyree, but they're not giving them more than that. My point stands is bullshit. I believe the NFL returning talks is and it's concerted effort to keep the Raiders bad. I see. I don't think because like nobody, well, outside of Gruden, right? Obviously, the NFL kind of forced our hand, kind of forced his resignation, but nobody forced us to fire Josh McDaniels, right? Like just a week before he was fired, Mark Davis was telling fans to smarten up and that we shouldn't have fired him. And then if Mark Davis anything, he succumbed to peer pressure, to fan pressure to fire him. And then with AP, he kind of, he was the victim of the fan movement there, and he hired AP as the guy. And then the fans turned on AP quick as a dime. So he's kind of succumbed to the pressure to fire him too. So if anything, you can blame him is that he's running this team like a fan would. And there are some benefits to that, like I said, because he'll spare no expense. He'll do all he can. But at the same time, like there has to be a certain level of strategy there. And like some of these moves, it just moves to make moves and without any like forward thinking. And you can't run an NFL organization like that. And we're seeing that is what it is. Yeah, Kuntz too, man. Yeah, Kuntz ain't been like I was a guy that advocated for paying Kuntz before he was hurt. Obviously, he's not the same guy since he got hurt. And usually those injuries kind of take a year to recover from. So maybe that's the case, but like the Raiders can't take that chance, man. I gotta skip the bottom. I'm sorry if y'all. Sorry, y'all. Get some of these chats. See what Coach saying. I'll tell you what, the Raiders are losing not just on the field, but off it. Oh, because now we're playing the NFL's political games, and that's where. But it's fine to play the political games if you play the political games well. If you play the political games well, it's cool to play the political games. But guess what? We're not playing the political games well, and that's why we're ass. And the politics games off the field that we have not have the ability to play, that's having effects on the field because we haven't been able to get the coaches in here that we want. So like that plays a part. That's part and parcel. So that's part of the reason why I think Mark wanted to bring in Tom Brady, why he was willing to sell Tom Brady shares of the team at a discount, because he wanted to use the cachet that Tom Brady has, the reputation of Tom Brady, the aura of Tom Brady. He wanted to use that to the Raiders' advantage and to say, hey, now we got this guy over here, and to help do some of the schmoozing that it takes to be successful. Like a lot of this stuff is back office deals and agents talking amongst each other, and these deals are made in advance, and you got to be able to play that game, and we have not been able to play that game, man. So like that's part of it. Yeah, that was me. Blank check. Oh yeah, blank checks. Yeah, I figured that. I thought that was you, LS. I couldn't remember. Man, blank check like the Disney movie. Man, look, it's gonna take. We're gonna have to roll out some. We're gonna have to give shares of the team. Yeah, bro. That's the only reality. Raider Alex. And matter of fact, man, if y'all haven't checked out Raider Alex, man, make sure you head over to this channel, man. Funny dude, man. Some of the best memes y'all gonna see, man. He also does some film study stuff too on his YouTube channel, man. So check him out. But yeah, that's our only hope. And if Pete Carroll doesn't want to retire, we might have to force him to retire. It might have to be one of those ultimatums where, like, look, man, we don't want to embarrass you, brother. We don't want to embarrass you. You need to fall on your shield. You need to fall on your sword. What do they call it? Japanese was sebuke or something like that. When they off themselves, like you might have to do that, brother. Like hey, go out with some dignity. Go out with some honor, like these samurais do when they've dishonored themselves, and take yourself out. Like that's the only way, bro. You lived a long life, Pete. Yeah, you've been coaching since the 70s. You didn't seen it all. You didn't seen it all, brother. You didn't done it all. You did it in college. You did it in the pros. Hey, do what Bill Belichick did, man. Go coach New Mexico State or something like that, brother. Like, go do that. Like, if you still want to coach, do that. And you can, if you want, and you can coach and teach at whatever. Like, you can do both. You can coach and you can teach. You get the best of both worlds, man. And you don't have to worry about the team you're with being mad about you coaching and teaching because, hey, you're coaching at the and teaching at that organization. So it's a win-win. Do that. Do that. Just stay the hell away from my team. See, Pete's such a legend. We have a hard time bringing it anyway. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man. Like, he's well liked around the league, man. So if it's perceived that we did him dirty, it's already hard enough to get like people like Josh McDaniels is almost universally disliked, and people didn't want to come after we did him dirty. So if you do Grandpa Pete dirty, bro, it's a wrap. It's a wrap. Yeah, this entire draft, yeah, man. Like I gave the draft. I gave it a C plus B minus, and that was me kind of just being generous. Like, and look, I will say this: I liked the Dante Thornton pick at the time, and I liked the Darian Porter pick at the time. Obviously, the Dante Thornton pick has crashed and burned. I liked it late, but I thought he's a guy that can come in here, offer some speed for us. Outside of Trey Tucker, some guy that is actually an adult size wide receiver. With that kind of speed, I thought he can help us. And that deep threat, on the outside would open up some lanes for Genty, but he just has not been good. Right now, he hasn't been good at anything. He hasn't been getting open deep. He can't run routes. He actually blocked fairly well, though, surprisingly, but he hasn't been good at all. Jack Bech, I had that pick the time. I named several receivers that I liked over Jack Bech. Like several, Io Manor, Torrey Horton. Jalen Royals, it was a few guys. Even Trey Harris. I like Trey Harris better than him. Kyle Williams. Like, it's a bunch of guys I like better than Jack Bech. And obviously Jack Bech is a guy who I think is strictly a slot. So, like, I don't want to rehash the entire draft, but like it was just the first year. You obviously can't judge a draft class after just 1 year, but early returns have not been good, and you would think that this team would be the kind of team that would be looking for guys like we draft a guy like Jack Bech. Like he shouldn't be like this shouldn't be a developmental guy, right? Like he should be a guy that's almost ready made. We draft a running back in the first round, like that's you're signaling like, yo, we're going for it now because running backs have a short shelf life and they're one of the most transferable positions from college to the pro. So that's a signal that, hey, you know what, we're trying to run the rock. We're going for broke now. So like ideally this is not, but then you draft a guy like Darian Porter and he's a project. You draft a guy like Charles Grant, he's a project. You draft a guy like Tommy Malott, he's a project. Cam Miller, obviously project. So like we kind of like this draft was confusing. The draft was confusing to say the least. But like if when you have a 74-year-old or 73-year-old coach at the time that's about to be that was going to be turning 74 during the season, like your goal should be winning immediately. And if that's not your goal, then you have to lay the foundation. And the Raiders, they tried to do a little bit of both and end up not really doing either of them really that well, it looks like. Facts, Moser wasn't supposed to help Genty, only sees the field on special teams. Yeah, I mean that's why we need another back, bro. Because like I said, we're not one of the better running teams in the league. Or one of the highest. Like we don't run the ball a lot as a team. But Genty before the bye was like fourth in carries. I think even after the bye, when he had like one less game than some teams, he was like, I think he was down to like 10th. So he's still like in the top third of the league in terms of attempts. We just haven't been effective at it. And then we haven't ran a lot, because like we don't have no other complimentary back. So it's like essentially just Genty getting carries. And that's the only person. So it's crazy. Mario Cristobal, the college thing, man. I don't want to do it, man. I don't want to do the college thing, man. I don't want to do it. It's worked in the past. I don't want to do it. Space Beast, Joe Brady would have to be smoking crack cocaine to take this job. He would have to be smoking he'd be off methamphetamines. He'd be a fool to take this job. I would take if I was him, I'd take Dolphins is kind of in a tough spot too. I'll take the Giants job. Oh my God, the Giants job. As soon as Dayball gets fired, you get Jackson Dart, you Cam Scatterboo back, you get Malik Neighbors. Oh, I'm taking that job in a heartbeat. I'm taking it. And then you just got Abdul Carter. Kayvon Thibodeau's probably gone, but you got Brian Burns, I think, at least for one more year. And then you got Dexter Lawrence, who's one of the best interior defensive linemen. You got that. You got a line. Well, like I said, Kayvon might be gone, but you got Abdul Carter, Dexter Lawrence. And I think you got one more year of Brian Burns. Like those three right there. And even if it's just Abdul Carter and Dexter Lawrence, like that right there, that's the makings of an incredible line already. So like Joe Brady, if I'm him, I'm looking square at the Giants job, because you got your quarterback of the future basically ready made for you. And then there's some people, I don't know who this is. There are rumblings that if I always forget my guy's name, the Buffalo coach. Rumblings that if he doesn't get it done this year, they may say, like, look, bro, you've had time and time again, you've had opportunity after opportunity. You haven't gotten over the hump. It's time to find a new voice, right? Like you've done all you can do. Thank you for your service. Good night. Like so there have been some rumblings I've heard. I don't necessarily believe it, but we'll see. Yeah, Bodega Jack. Like I said, man, that's Kirk Primos, man. That is Kirk Primos. It's Kirk Primos for sure. Magic doesn't have football experience. Magic doesn't have football experience. Brady does, but it's not when you're at that level with the organization. It's not necessarily about now. Obviously, for the role that we brought Tom Brady in for, Magic Johnson is probably not, because basically Tom Brady is the pseudo president of football operations. So that's not a role that Magic Johnson would fulfill. What Magic Johnson does, and this is why it would have been such a good hire, it would have been a good move, is that Magic Johnson knows how to identify leaders. He knows how to identify leaders, and he's a guy that has had success everywhere he's gone. You already know that you're not good at hiring. Like, you've proven it several times. If you're Mark Davis, Magic Johnson has proved several times that he is good at that. So you take a guy with a proven track record like him, and you lean on his experience. He didn't know shit about baseball, and he helped turn the Dodgers into a winner, right? So, like, some people just know how to win. He's the guy that sat at the foot of Jerry Buss, who is, for my money, the greatest owner in all of professional sports of all time. Like, what he did not only for the NBA, but what he did for the Lakers organization, is nothing short of masterful. So, and Magic Johnson was his Geno Smith to Pete Carroll, right? Like, that was the kind of bond they had. That was his adopted black son. So he taught him everything he knows, and he helped Magic Johnson. The one deal that Magic Johnson didn't make was he didn't make the Nike deal, right? And he said he's still kicking himself for that to this day. But other than that, he's made tremendous deals, whether it be with Starbucks, whether it be with the Magic Johnson Theaters, some of his other real estate adventures. Like, he's done a tremendous job generating billions upon billions of dollars. I think he is the second richest former NBA player. He's only second to Michael Jordan. And Michael Jordan, all of Michael Jordan's money has come from his deal with Nike and the licensing of his shoes, right? From Jordan Brand. All his money comes from there. Like 90% of his money comes from there. Magic Johnson's money comes from a plethora of different ventures. And if Magic Johnson had taken a Nike deal, Magic Johnson would be far and away like the richest NBA player. Like, if we take that deal at a young age, obviously he elected not to. He went with a more guaranteed product at the time. I think Converse. Who would have thought back then, like, Converse was like the it shoes? Wild to think. But yeah, man, let me get to the bottom of this chat, man. So I know y'all been in here cooking it. Sudoku, yeah, man, exactly. Look, I'm not saying that he should get whacked mob style. I'm saying it'd be a terrible thing. No, I'm playing. Do not put that out there. Do not put that out there. But yeah, man, I'm about to get out of here, man. I've been on here like a smooth hour and a half, man. Appreciate everybody pulling up. Make sure I didn't miss any super chats, man. Appreciate everybody that donated, man, that came through ECG for grabbing membership, man. It's the first one. Like I told y'all, man, I'm still learning this. This ain't about to Sean McDermott. There you go, Sean McDermott. Kubiak from the Seahawks. So I will address this. Cool. Right next is 5'10". I don't think I saw you before. Right, that's Kubiak. He crashed and burned with the Saints. Obviously, the Saints are the Saints, and it was Derek Carr and Dennis Allen as head coach. And he's doing his thing this year. And he is doing the thing offensively with the head coach that is defensive minded. So you do got to give him a lot of credit there. And he's taken what Sam Darnold did with the Vikings, and he's kind of brought it over to Seattle as well. So you give him credit for that. But it's like JSN, man. JSN was already starting his ascent. JSN is a dog, man. JSN, man. I can't say it yet, but JSN is close to being like, man, best receiver in the league. He's the best receiver in the league this year. Is he the best receiver in the league? No, but best receiver in the league this year, yes, for sure. Silver and Facts, man, this is my first time seeing you, my first time addressing one of your chats. So I'll get you in before I get out here. No GMs outside of Roseman or Jerry don't talk to the media much, but Spytech was whispering sweet nothings to all of us. But since the offseason started, but like the bye week would have been like the time to do it, and that's what I want out of my GM, right? I want like a state of affairs, a state of the Raiders. Hey, bye week is the time to do it. Hey, this is kind of what happened in the first week or first part of the season. This is the outlook for the second half of the season. You don't got to go into great detail, but you talk about, hey, you know what? This is the draft class did. This is our plan. Yeah, like you talk a little bit about what you're doing as a team, especially for a new GM, especially for a team in this kind of market, because like any kind of interactions with the fans, like they're going to eat that up, man, and that's just going to build more trust and more like tighten the bond that you have with the community and with the fan base out there. So like I think that was a missed opportunity. Let me see. Thanks for the event. Yeah, man, no doubt. Let me see. Do you think there was some division? I definitely do, man. I definitely think Pink was calling the shots. You kind of see it. I could be wrong, but I feel like, yeah, I think he had most of the say. I think he had final say, kind of like he did in Seattle. Like you hear when he talked about leaving Seattle, it's because they wanted John Snyder to take the reins. So that's why he left there. But but that would be dumb because you still want to set yourself. I mean, you still want to set yourself up for future success. So like you don't want to cut your nose to spite your face, even though Pete Carroll's going to do Pete Carroll thing. You still want to cut your nose to spite your face. Raiders should take a page out of Bears and Patriots book and reinforce the line and defense. Man, yeah, I mean the game was one of the trenches, man. The last time the Raiders were a good team, guess what? We had one of the best offensive lines in the league. I think we had the most expensive offensive line in the league. So that's where the game is won. That's where the game is won. Like the past is prologue, man, and that's what pisses me off about the Raiders not learning these lessons, man. And I'll close out with this, man. The last time I said it before, right? We get John Gruden here. John Gruden he hits the reset button, clears everybody out. 3 years we're in the playoffs, right? We get when else did we do it? Oh, we did it with Reggie McKenzie. Reggie McKenzie gets here. He completely cleans house. I think 3 years with them, we're in the playoffs too. So the last time we just made the decision, like, you know what? We're going to blow this thing up. We're going DEFCON 5. We're getting rid of everybody. We're hitting the complete reset button. It took a few years, but guess what? We were back in the playoffs. We keep doing this retool nonsense. And as I said before, we're going to stay 3 years away from being 3 years away. And that's what we've been. We've been 3 years away from being 3 years away since 2003. So Raiders don't seem to learn, man. But appreciate y'all, man. I fast every day till 4, so I've not eaten anything at all. So I got about an hour and a half in my eating window. I got to get some kind of protein, some kind of carbs. I need some kind of sustenance to on my fitness journey. The goal is to look like LS and DC by the summer, man. So I got a lot of work to do. But holla at y'all, man. I'll be back at y'all tomorrow night, obviously, with my guy, PharoahNFL. probably gonna watch this film while I eat some prime rib, man. So holla at your boy, man. Catch you next time. This is gonna be the most low tech live y'all ever seen because my intro was this. Peace. Or outro.